Moments, so we kindly ask you to find your seats so we can get going shortly. Many thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you, distinguished ministers, esteemed guests, fellow participants. It's an honor for me to welcome you to this high-level summit aimed at exploring the critical role of travel investment in fostering economic resilience, peace, and sustainability around the world. My name is Marianne Evenstein. I'm a TV news anchor with Germany's international broadcaster, DW, and I'm really pleased to welcome all of you here for this important conversation, which will be moderated by myself together with my esteemed colleague Anita Mendirata, who many of you know as the special advisor to the Secretary General of UN Tourism. It'll be fantastic to work together with Anita. Before we get started, however, just a quick note to let everybody know, because this is an international gathering, we have 3 languages that we can choose to speak in, whichever is most comfortable for us. And we have the headsets with simultaneous interpretation for all of you. Should you like to follow proceedings in English, if someone speaking is not speaking in English, you go to channel 1. For French, you can turn to channel 2, and we also offer Spanish in channel 3. So pick your language, and then we can begin. Our conversation today is going to focus on 2 key areas. First, the role of tourism investment in driving stability and peace. And of course, closely related to that, the importance of public-private partnerships in enhancing tourism investments. We're going to hear from esteemed ministers representing all 5 of the global regions, and that's fantastic because each of you is bringing really unique insights, very valuable insights, and your experiences to the table, and that's what this is all about. Now it's my honor to introduce the hosts of this event who've made it possible for all of us to be here today. They will also say a few welcoming words, and we'll begin with the CEO of Messe Berlin, Dr. Mario Tobias. Mario, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Honorable Ministers, Secretary General de Surab, dear Mariella, dear Julia, it's so great to see so many of you here, and very, very warm welcome to Berlin at ITB 2025. We are so glad and thankful to UN Tourism that we brought this format back, that we have this platform in gathering ministers from all over the world. And if you see at this beautiful set of flags, they're really from every part of this world, together here in Berlin, and to talk about the issues that we are all addressing to. Because tourism and travel, what we believe is a very major factor and it's a key player when it comes to peace. Bring people together, learn from different cultures, meet people, work together. And to discuss these topics, how we can proceed for the future, you need a platform for it. And we believe ITB Berlin is the perfect platform, and together with our partners from the UN Tourism, this is the right way to do it. So once again, very, very warm welcome to all of you. We do know that travel is an economic powerhouse, and so many countries rely on travel and tourism for a good fostering of their economy. We know in hard times like this, where relationships are broken within weeks, that have been established over generations before, that it is even more important to come together and to have strong ties and connections between the different countries and regions. So we believe it's a catalyst for a sustainable development as well. And of course, tourism can be a key driver for resilience as well. We've seen over the past years that there has been a fantastic recovery, and it shows the strength and the adaptability of the tourism sector, because some people said after the pandemic, are you sure travel will come back again? Some people even ask us, are you sure trade fairs like this will come back again? We can do anything via Teams or Zoom calls. No, you can't. You have to meet people in person, you have to talk, you have to feel, you have to smell, you have to taste Albania's here as a host country with all senses. This is exactly what you took as a slogan. And we believe it's very important to meet and to have these discussions live and in person. And we do see this as well in the very important shows that we have in Shanghai for the Greater China market, in Singapore for the Asia-Pacific region, as well as in Mumbai for the Indian and the South Asian markets. And as there's a very positive industry outlook, and we're very grateful that WTTC also gave the perspective in today's press conference, we also know that there are emerging markets, not only in Europe, not only in the African states or in the Middle East, but also in the Americans. And therefore, we just announced 2 hours ago in a press conference that IITB will also be heading to Mexico to address all the Latin American, the North American, the South American, the Caribbean countries starting in November 2026. So I hope we will see all of your countries as well to be partners, not only in ITB Berlin and in Asia, but also in the ITB Americas in 2026. We're very much looking forward to, and we're very grateful for this partnership together with the Mexican partners. Looking ahead, we believe global investments in tourism will shape sustainability, technological innovation, strategic developments, as I already mentioned. We believe these are the key factors that align with shifting consumer expectations and global economic trends. So therefore, we believe it takes this platform, and maybe one word, as the minister from Albania is sitting next to me, we can only invite you to participate in ITB and maybe even want to become a host country as well, because we see that it's very important if you want can show light and showcase to the world and highlight what beautiful countries you have with all the heritage, with all the culture, with beautiful landscapes, and you can show this to the world and say we are a top destination. This can be a platform to even get further with this, so we're very happy. I know that Albania is a host country today, but we have Malaysia on the table. They have been host country before. The Maldives have been before, also in our ITB in China in 2024, also Georgia and many others. So you're kindly invited to be partner of this as well. So I want to keep it short and just say we also feel very honored to have this platform here. We want to establish this for the future even further with UN Tourism. And once again, a very, very warm welcome to Berlin. Have good talks. I think it needs this platform for understanding, for mutual understanding, and to make this world a better place. And I think we can start here today. Thank you so much, and welcome to Berlin.
Thank you very much. We now have the president and CEO of WTTC with us, Julia Simpson. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you so... Am I on? Yeah. Is it working? Hello? Can you hear it? No, I'm not sure. Hello? Okay. Oh, it's okay. It's me. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mario, for hosting a wonderful ITB. It's very successful in so many ways. Obviously, I represent WTTC with the business sector. We've got 200 top CEOs who really looking at where to invest their money globally, but providing an event like this because the other key part of that is getting governments together. So I'm very, very grateful that you're doing this forum. It's really very, very supportive for the whole sector. I would also like to thank Secretary General very much. Thank you for bringing us all together and bringing so many people from all ministers around the world. And obviously, last but absolutely not least, is our minister from Albania. I think any of us that were at the opening ceremony, it was truly spectacular. And our data is showing that Albania is going to be one of the fastest, if not the fastest, growing travel and tourism sector in Europe this year. So many, many congratulations on hosting this. I just wanted to say to everybody that travel and tourism really, as we know, is a force for good. I think in these really difficult times, times politically difficult, we have wars, we also have, sustainability, rising sea levels. We have so many challenges that actually travel and tourism is one North Star that actually brings people together, and it also ensures that people have jobs. We are looking at it representing $16 trillion of the global economy by 2034 and employing something like 450 million people. So we're a massive employer of jobs, and I'm very proud to say that we're a big employer of jobs for young people and jobs for women. We are overrepresented for women, and in some countries it really is the difference between putting food on the table or not, and it lifts people out of informal economies, so it's really vital. I just wanted to spend a little bit, 1 second of our time today to talk about technology. I think we are literally sitting on the edge of a precipice of change. I know people have been saying that for a long time, and I know AI is one of these things. I mean, lots of us have been using AI, but we've just published with Trip.com, as you know, it's a major Chinese company, an incredible report today. And, look at my age. I'm not exactly an early adopter, right? And this report, I would highly recommend you looking at it, because very, very soon, by the end of the year, the middle of next year, you're going to see the travel and tourism sector completely changed. We had a report by Deloitte saying that our sector was a slow adopter of AI and technological change. That is vastly accelerating now. We've now got reports from Amadeus saying 90% of our sector is investing heavily in AI. And the thing is, people say to me, yes, but what does it mean? What does it mean? And I think we're going to see some big changes. The first one are what I call in the digital area, which is super apps. And a lot of us have apps on our phone where we might get an Uber, or I might work out the tube train times in London. But the super apps bring it all together in one place, and you can also pay for whatever you're buying. So it's going to take, when you're thinking of planning a holiday and you think, I really want a holiday, oh God, I haven't got time to do all the research, all this. It's going to take that pain point away. As I said in my opening speech, literally you can be watching Netflix, seeing beautiful, beautiful pictures of South Africa and thinking, I've always wanted to go there. I've always wanted to do that. You will point your phone at the screen. It will tell you, this is what you're looking at South Africa here. Would you like to go there? You can go there 2 weeks' time. They already knows that I'm a family of how many. I'm an old grandma with a 3-month-old and I've got 30. It knows all that. It's stored it. I don't have to repeat that information the whole time. So these super apps are going to change our lives, and that's fanned by AI in the background. So that's number one, I would say, that would be change your businesses. But the big thing is we need governments, because China's been way ahead of this game for a long time, and the government has understood the power of AI and those super apps. But a lot of governments are a little bit cautious. They're saying, well, this is people's personal data, and there's a lot of, how do we do that? And actually, a lot of the personal data is safer, because I will restore my personal data digitally, whatever it is, my medical data, my passport, I'm a vegetarian, whatever it is about me. But it's my choice who I share it with, and that it can be shared securely. So we're going to need the regulation from everyone in this room if we're going to ensure that we can really early adopt. But I think when I gave those numbers at the beginning, I think those numbers are going to be accelerated by this. I think we've got a big challenge with data centres. I know a lot of you in your countries are building data centres, but some of us don't even have enough energy to turn the lights on all the time, let alone have data centres. So actually, the kind of quantum physics side of it is coming on very fast, and that consumes less energy, which is a really good thing. Another area that always sounds a little bit not sure, fintech, financial technology, but it's going to allow people to be able to buy a product but pay for it over a long period with no interest. Now, for holidays, that's really important, because it's one of the biggest spends that families often do. But if they know they can maybe pay for it over increments, then they might even buy a bigger holiday, and they might stay longer. So it's going to also, that's going to change our landscape. And then the other thing, it's all these exciting, more visual things. I was with a cab driver in London. He'd been driving for 30 years. He'd just come back from San Francisco, and he was in driverless cars. And I went, yeah, but you're a driver in London. That must have been terrible. He went, no. He said, it's the best driven car I've ever been in, and I felt safer in that car, driverless car, than I did with a driver. driver. So these are the things we are literally seeing. Some of you that are archipelagos with islands that are quite close together, we will have drones carrying 10 people, 15 people from one place to the other. So we're going to see some what I call the sexy stuff as well. But I just wanted to share the report with you. Please, my team are here. Get hold of it, because I think it's coming to us soon, whether we like it or not. Thank you very much.
Julia, thank you very much indeed. Definitely a lot of disruptive developments in the tourism industry, exciting things to look forward to for sure. Up next, I would like to hand over to the Honorable Mirela Kumbara, the Minister of Tourism and Environment of Albania, as we all know, this year's ITV host country. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear Mario, dear Julia, and of course, dear Zurab, you are the only one between the three who has been in Albania twice, yes? And you, Mario, one. Julia, you have to fulfill the criteria. Anyhow, just here we meet again with dear colleagues and friends. We were together, at least the European ministers in Albania in 2023, but also in 2024, when we organized the 17th meeting of the UN Tourism Commission for Europe in Tirana. And today we are in Berlin, where Albania is the host country. Not as tourism giant, not of course, but as a country that has shown the world a meaningful model. A beautiful surprise in global tourism stage. It's a big honor for us, and we cannot do it without all of you. Like a symbol that just as people can reinvent themselves, so can do the countries, overcoming difficult historical moments and emerging through the power of tourism as a world destination. Albania is also an example of how growth does not have to come from mass tourism. The latest UN tourism report ranked Albania as Europe's fastest growing destination for international visitors post-pandemic. Thank you, Zurab and UN Tourism, for being not just our partners, but our support in providing also data, because when a country is saying his data, maybe it's not always reliable, at least in the political world. But when UN Tourism is doing, this is very important. That is why tourism is very important to us, but not only, because we want to be responsible and sustainable in tourism. And this is why maybe the tourism and the environment are under the same roof, in the same ministry, ensuring that development and preservation go hand in hand. And maybe, as far as I know, is the only country who has decided to have this political choice under the same roof, dealing with you also. Thank you for being with me, but at least in Europe, I can say it. Albania welcomed around 12 million tourists in 2024. Not bad for a country with just 2.5 million residents. But just the numbers don't tell the full story, and this is important. The real success is that Albania is becoming a year-round destination, not just for summer beach tourism, as is common in Mediterranean countries, but also for winter travel, ecotourism, and culture heritage exploration. Our national parks, which are covering 22% of the territory of Albania, attracted 5.5 million visitors, while our UNESCO cities and historical castles saw a record-breaking of 1.3 million visitors during the last year. Anyhow, hospitality is the heart of the Albanian identity. As the Prime Minister said during the opening ceremony, in our old constitution, which means 5 centuries ago, is written, the Albanian's house belongs to God and to the guest. Today, tourism has transformed this old tradition into an engine for economic development, bringing prosperity and stability across the country. At the same time, Albania is attracting high-end accommodation brands through fiscal incentives, driving investment while preserving authenticity. Through agritourism programs, we ensure that visitors experience true Albanian hospitality while safeguarding tradition from the pressure of mass tourism. This is a very big, challenging, almost for a country as Albania, small country. Thanks to progressive government policies, our country now hosts 11 international hotel brands and has over 40 4- and 5-star hotels either completed or under construction in only 5 last years. This year, new chapter begins with the opening of Vlora International Airport. It's a big new airport that will be open within this year in the south of Albania, just in front of Italy. It's a major investment that will reshape the entire southern region's economy and those beaches that global media have called, global media, not us, as the Maldives of Europe. They are, but you have to come to visit and to confirm to me if they are really Maldives or not. They are simply Albania. We are not competing with any other country, but there is simply Albania, a hidden gem till now, revealing itself to the world year after year, like a beautiful fairy tale, but is a reality. Because tourism is not only a powerful diplomatic tool, but also a driving force for emancipation, serving as a bridge between cultures and fostering peace in our region. Albania stands as a remarkable example of stability and harmony, where 4 religions coexist in perfect harmony. Within just few meters, one can see a Catholic cathedral, a Muslim mosque, an Orthodox church, and a Bektashi teke, an invaluable culture asset that is now becoming a true touristic attraction. I strongly believe in the power of education. That is why we are working in Albania not only to increase the number of young people choosing to study tourism, but also to create new opportunities for them. In this regard, we have an ambitious project with UN Tourism that we have to realize this year. With the support of Zurab and his fantastic team, we aim to establish the UN Tourism Academy in Tirana, which will serve as a regional hub for training and empowering the next generation of tourism professionals. Dear friends, Albania dreams big when it comes to tourism. But as we like to say, between dreams and reality, usually Walt Disney said is project. As minister, I would say that between dreams and reality there is politics. The power to make dreams come true. By 2030, we aim to be one of Europe's top destinations, not by imitating others, but by learning from the others and by staying true to what makes us unique: authenticity, quality, and sustainability. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Deborah. I don't know where you are, here in the room. Yes, always behind the stage. Thank you for believing in Albania and offering such a great opportunity to be host country in ITB Berlin. Thank you, Zurab, and all the UN Tourism. I prefer UN Tourism than UN WTO. And thank you, dear friends. Looking forward to have you as guests in Albania. Don't forget, it will be your house, according to our old constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we'll have a few words from His Excellency Zurab Polilakashvili, Secretary General of UN Tourism.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't like the panels and this kind of meetings without results. Because always we are sitting, we are making photos, putting in the social media, and there is no outcome. But outcome from this event has to be, if our dear Mario Tobias agree, and I will tell you why, to have this tradition, to meet on all ITB, the next ITB edition, and organize this meeting. This is first meeting we are organizing, thanks to you, Mario, and all your team. But first is always difficult, everything. But having here so many ministers after 3 days, very hard work, all of them, they have their agendas. Julia is with us, and the theme is private and public partnership. Without Julia, it's no sense to talk here about business. Next year, Julia have to help us to bring your 200 CEOs and to be here and to make a more alive talks. Because these countries, they need investments. But investments, it's impossible without private sector. It's clear. It's impossible with private presence. So, back to the start, I really want to ask you, or maybe at the end we can decide together, to maintain this tradition. We have our regional commissions, we have executive council, we have general assembly, but transitionally these different regions, they don't meet. They meet, of course, in their stands here in ITB or in FITUR or in Madrid or WTM or wherever. But this is the great opportunity to meet at least twice or 3 times during the year and have this kind of opportunity to listen leaders from the world. And it's free for public. This is important, to listen 25 ministers and to know what is happening in the different regions, where they are going, what are their visions. All of them have different visions and different ideas. I think it's interesting to have and maintain this kind of meeting. Protocol-wise, I want to welcome all ministers, all ambassadors. I met many ambassadors who are attending today's meeting, press, media, friends, I don't know, all of you. And let's make it bigger. Every year we have to make it bigger. And we will make it. This is one of the last days of the ITB's working days, and look, the hall is full. I want to congratulate Albania. I will come 3rd time, 4th and 5th, don't worry, Mirela. And really it's a big success, what we saw these days. Only that Albania is hosting this event is a big success. But I'm sure that success we will see in numbers as we saw in the last 10 years. Congratulations to you, to Prime Minister, for excellent historical job you made. This legacy will stay forever for all generations, and you will evaluate and they will evaluate the results of this great job. I want to welcome everyone. We have a lot of speakers, and many of our ministers, they have their flights. I have also a flight, but let's be together. And then it was mentioned, and we put our slogan, tourism bring world closer. This is our philosophy, and there we are, and there we're going. Thank you very much to your time, and have a successful, nice, interesting discussion. I don't have any doubts.
Many thanks indeed. Secretary General, you're absolutely right. There are so many ministers represented here today that before we dive into our deeper discussions, we would like to do a quick round of introductions to actually know who's in the room today with us. And for that, I'll hand over to my colleague, Anita.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mariana. And to all, excellencies, colleagues, leaders from across the global travel and tourism community, as we say in South Africa, all protocols observed. Dear friends, we are delighted to have you all here today. And what's wonderful is that this is, as has been confirmed, the inaugural ministerial dialogue at ITB Berlin, as we carry this tradition forward, and Julia carries with us 200 more CEOs in the room. So that'll make sure the air conditioning doesn't get too cold. It'll be very cozy. But we want to invite you here today. Exactly as has been said, you've been here for 2 days already. And before we go into the details, how many people have been here at ITB for more than 5 to 8 ITBs? How many people? Have you ever seen ITB sunshine. Sunshine outside like we are seeing now. So, Madam, thank you very much for being the host country of this year and for bringing the sunshine with you. We are very, very grateful. At this inaugural event, we're going to be digging very deeply into, as has been discussed by Mariana, the two critical themes. Now, very importantly, we're going to be talking about investment. We're going to be talking about unity through public sector partnership and with private, and we're going to be talking naturally about sustainability. Now, we know that all the leaders in the room here believe in the concept of sustainability. We know that. We've had many a conversation about it, many a summit about it. However, I know my dear Secretary General very well, and he gets very irritated when he hears us talking about things that are sustainable and recycling the same conversations. So he put forward a challenge, and the challenge being we need to make sure, exactly as Mariana said, we need to dig deeper. All of you are not only exceptional leaders in this industry, you're good people who fundamentally believe that tourism is, exactly as Julia said, a force for good, for all, for generations to come. So we're going to use this time to chip in a little bit deeper to understand not only where you come from, but who you are, what you believe in, and why your leadership right now is so important. So with that in mind, I'm going to go rapidly around the room to introduce you to exactly who is in the room, so we all know exactly where they're coming from. Now, this might be a little bit of a test of my memory of flags, and forgive me, please, if any incorrect pronunciations. And please, may I ask you all to save your applause until the end. Otherwise, sir, we're going to be ordering dinner with you this evening. We need to make this through. So please may I ask you to give a very warm welcome to, as we've seen, Secretary General Zurab Bulalikashvili from UN Tourism, Mirela Kumbaro, the beautiful Minister of Tourism and Environment of Albania and the carrier of the sunshine. Madam, thank you very much, Mario, for having us, and Julia, thank you very much for being here, and of course, Mariana. We also have joining us, going in alphabetic order, so there's no preference here. We have beg your pardon, we have Jordi Torres Falco, the Minister of Tourism of Commerce of Andorra. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Beside him, we have Marcio Daniel, Minister of Tourism of Angola. Thank you, sir. Madam, representing Armenia, we have Lucine Gevorgyan, the Chairperson of the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Armenia, sitting beside Hakot, the Minister of Tourism of Cambodia. Sir, welcome. We have Marie-France Hilde Helene Pongla, the Minister of Tourism and Arts and Leisure of Congo-Brazzaville. Madam, thank you very much for joining us. We also have Mr. Chonji Galvina, Minister of Tourism and Sport of Croatia. Thank you, sir. From Ghana, we also have, sitting beside him, Ms. Alba Deziva Gamashi, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Madam, thank you very much for joining us. We have joining us from Georgia, the lovely Ms. May Amiadzad. I knew I would do one wrong. I apologize for that, Madam. Georgia National Tourism Administration. Thank you for joining us. We also have joining us from Malaysia, the lovely Tariq Ibrahim, Minister of Tourism and Environment. From the Maldives, Malaysia, I got the wrong direction, my apologies. Tariq Ibrahim, Minister of Tourism and Environment of, where am I? I'm in the wrong country. I know I'm in Berlin. That's a good thing. We have Mr. King Sing Tiong, the Minister of the Tourism, Arts and Culture of Malaysia. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. From Moldova, we have with us Andrei Kristal, State Secretary of Culture and Tourism in Moldova, thank you. We have Peter Drašković, the State Secretary, Minister of Tourism of Montenegro. Brilliant. We also have as well Badri Prasad Pandey, Minister of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation of Nepal. Sir, thank you for joining us. We have joining us from Portugal, no one. We have joining us from Seychelles, Mr. Louis Radegonde, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Tourism, Seychelles. We have joining us from South Africa, but I will not state any preference, the lovely Auntie Pat, Patricia de Lille, Minister of Tourism of South Africa. How's it, madam? We have joining us as well from Tanzania, Mr. Dunstan Kitandalu, the Deputy Minister, Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism of Tanzania. Thank you for joining us. We have joining us from Tunisia. Sir, we have Sofiane Tekaya, Minister of Tourism. Thank you for joining us. We also have joining us from IATA, our dear friend that keeps us all literally connected, Raphael Schwartzman, Regional Vice President of Europe. Thank you very much for being with us. Sitting next to him, we have Ibrahim Halil Kormaz, Board Member, Istanbul Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our beauty pageant of tourism. Please, a warm welcome to everyone in the room. I beg your pardon. Madam, you snuck in. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Rosaria Sanchez Grau, the State Secretary of Tourism of Spain. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are all of our speakers today. Oh my goodness me, I owe you a hug. I'm so sorry. We have joining us from Sierra Leone, Nabila Farida Tunis, Minister of Tourism and Culture Affairs. I'm avoiding the Secretary General's look because he's about to fire me. Thank you very much, Madam, for joining us. Do I have everyone in the room? I can't believe I've done that. Okay. So we now have as well joining us, I beg your pardon, we have Jan Fluksa, the Deputy Minister of the Czech Republic. Absolutely the finale of our people. Please, one last round so I can put this past me. Now, as you've seen, there's going to be a bit of a different dynamic here. You have all been asked to prepare 3-minute interventions. 3 minutes to answer a question specific to investment, tourism, public-private partnership, and peace. Everything that you have written, please put aside. Because if every single person speaks for 3 minutes, we are going to be here until dinner time. So, the reason why I'm walking is this, and the Secretary General has given me his blessing that I'm allowed to breach protocol. We're going to have a situation where I'm going to ask questions, and I'll be approaching you, and I'll be sneaking up on the Honorable Minister of Tourism of Croatia, who's checking his email, and he will know that I'm going to ask him a question. And he will know that he has 60 seconds to respond. Everyone has 60 seconds to respond. When I start walking away, you're going to know that I need you, sir, to please wrap up your intervention. And I will move and I'll look at the Honourable Minister of Tourism of South Africa and say, Madam will know from my eye contact, great, I'm moving to her. So we're going to use this. Reason being, we want to hear everyone's voice. We want to make sure everyone is engaged in this conversation. So if I see anyone, and myself and Mariana, we've agreed on this, we're going to back each other up. If anyone pulls out interventions and goes near second number 61, we are going to very lovingly come up to you and sneak away your piece of paper, madam, because we need to keep the conversation going. So everyone, and I know, madam, she does not carry the pieces of paper, so you don't have to worry about that. But we want to keep things going. So, to give us a sense of what is the energy in the room going to be like, we have a quick fire round before we even go into the main questions itself. And everyone in the room in this round has literally 10 seconds. You have 10 seconds to answer the following question. Honourable Minister of Tourism of Croatia, why is this not in your strategy, not in your policies, but in your heart? Why is this, as the world is reopening, the most exciting time to be a leader in tourism in your country? 10 seconds.
Because it's definitely the most challenging time to be in charge of tourism in the world.
Brilliant. Honourable Minister of Tourism of Cambodia, 10 seconds. Why is this the most exciting time to be a leader of tourism in Cambodia?
Because tourism industry is considered as a green gold in my country.
Brilliant. Honourable Minister of Tourism of Armenia, please, why is this the best time and why are your predecessors envious of you? 10 seconds.
Because of Armenia is the best test of tourism all around the world.
And now we move to Angola. 10 seconds, sir.
Yeah, because after the COVID, people want to travel more to enjoy their life, right?
Brilliant. Andorra.
En castellano, el turismo conecta culturas y el fomento de la paz es
and develops peace, which is very, very important for us, and tourism helps us achieve this goal.
Of Congo-Brazzaville, why is this the most exciting time to be a leader in tourism? 10 seconds.
Merci beaucoup. C'est très
Thank you. For me, it is the best time to be working in tourism because this is the sector of the economy which is dedicated to peace. In Congo, we have a luxuriant forests, beautiful nature, beautiful river, the biggest in the world.
Sir, why is this such an exciting time to be leading tourism?
Yeah, it's simple because it brings people together and helps mutual understanding between or among different cultures. That's it.
Which is so important now, exactly, from a Georgia perspective, Madam.
Yeah, I really believe that tourism can change the world in everywhere in Georgia also, and especially in Georgia when every tourist and guest is a gift from God. So, yeah.
Nicely said. From Malaysia perspective, why is this the most exciting time?
Yeah, Malaysia is all the time promoting the stability and peace. Make sure the country itself had the economic growth. Thank you.
Excellent. 10 seconds, Moldova.
Well, because tourism is one of the most dynamic sector of a global economy, and this means that it's peace and democracy and participation.
Brilliant. Montenegro, Madam.
Thank you. Well, the hardest times are the times for change, so we're building a more beautiful world together.
Beautifully said. Nepal, sir.
Tourism is a powerful tool to transform Nepal for sustainable development. That's my try.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Madam, Sierra Leone.
Thank you. It's about the people. Warm, hospitable, embracing and loving people in Sierra Leone.
Brilliant. Tanzania, sir.
Peace and stability is very important to a nation, and tourism brings to us that economic age that enable us to reach toward the peace and stability.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Sir, in Turkey, from an Istanbul Visitor and Convention Bureau.
Yeah, it's the best time to bring the peace to the world, I think.
And there's a hunger for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, we need that.
Sir, IATA, what do you think from an aviation perspective?
From a globalized world, I think we are living extraordinary moments where bringing people together as well as wealth to the different countries of the world, it's an incredible opportunity.
Indeed. And I must say, we are delighted you are here because literally every destination in the world relies on you to keep us connected. So thank you very much. Tunisia, sir.
Tourisme est un vecteur de développement économique, d'échange et de paix.
Excellent. Madam.
Because we are changing the world, changing the economic model from the tourism industry in a more sustainable one, no? From an environmental perspective, but even above all, from a social perspective.
Lovely. And you're exactly right. This is the time to do the re-engineering and do it right. Madam, from a South African perspective, why now?
I'm very excited to invite all of you in September to attend the G20 ministerial meeting in South Africa. I'm excited. I want to show off our beautiful country. So we look forward to hosting you. Thank you.
And that's a beautiful point because many tourism leaders in South Africa have had opportunities to impact the country. You have the G20, and that's glorious. Honourable Minister from Seychelles.
This is the time to reinvent and rebuild this very important industry on which most of our countries depend on.
Brilliant. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you. Maldives is one of the leading tourism destinations in the world, and we continue to lead in the future and to bring in the tourists to the sunny side of life, Maldives. Thank you.
Fantastic. Madam, from your perspective.
Thank you. So you're looking for enhancing investment, ensuring peace, harnessing growth, and shaping the future. Ghana has in abundance peace and opportunity for growth, and it's a reason why I'm happy that I'm the minister at this time, having the low-hanging fruits to encourage the youth to participate in tourism. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's the whole next wave of generation, absolutely. Secretary General, why is now the most exciting time, through all we've been through, to be a leader in tourism?
Because the tourism industry does not have limits, and always it will be important, any day, any moment, to lead the sector.
Brilliant. Thank you. Madam.
Because we brought the sun. And it's for free. Enjoy it.
Indeed. Julia, why is now such an exciting time?
Because we need the jobs, we need the economic stability, and we need the cross-border understanding and cooperation.
Brilliant. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hand it back to Mariana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anita. Yeah, we all deserve a round of applause. So I have to say, I found all of these answers so heartwarming. And I hope everybody noticed how much overlap there was, even if it was in a few different languages with a few different words. In essence, people were really saying a lot of the same things, that investment in tourism is not just about sustainable growth and development, but it really is an investment in understanding, in respect, and also in peace. At the same time, all of you are coming from very different regions around the world, and we also understand that investment in tourism is not exactly a one-size-fits-all model. Each of your regions, each of your countries is facing your own unique challenges, your own unique circumstances. And we do have so much to cover in this conversation, but of course we are limited in how much time we have. So what we've tried to do is really narrow it down to a few key questions, and we would like to hear different perspectives from different regions. So to begin, we'd like to ask about how tourism contributes to economic recovery and sustainable development in large and or diverse economies. So that's the first question in the room, and maybe we can begin with the Minister of Albania, who can answer this question first.
I want to keep it short because I had already my time to speak, and I, with all my colleagues that maybe has to share with us their experiences. But everything is based on communication, emancipation. More we are communicating with each other, more we can develop the ideas and to put them, to transform them in reality. And no other sector in the economy can give to us this possibility. And coming from a country that has been isolated for more than half centuries under the wildest dictatorship, I think that this is the best example and the best model, having Albania as the host country in 2025. So when people are participating and in tourism, then when the tourism is sustainable, people are part of it, which means that they're part of the economy and the growth economy.
Yeah, thank you very much for your intervention. The same question put to the Minister from Tunisia. How does Minister of Tunisia is gone? Okay, so then I'll turn to the Minister from Seychelles. Sir, the same question to you, how tourism can contribute to economic recovery and sustainable development. Yours is perhaps not a large economy, but it certainly is a very diverse economy.
Yeah, tourism for Seychelles is very important. 70% of the GDP depends on, comes from tourism. And we see it as it's got to be participatory industry. The people of the country has to feel part of this industry, and in fact we do encourage them to take part. And to give you an example, the majority of our room stock today is owned by locals. It's small, locally owned establishments. So people have to be part of that, to have the opportunity to participate in that very important industry for the country.
Many thanks indeed. Anita, I will hand over to you to ask the next round of ministers.
Excellent. So if we continue to build on that question and we look at it from the point of view of Moldova, how have you found, sir, that the tourism industry has been fundamentally important in rebuilding and recovering Moldova as a nation with a new now appreciation for what tourism can do? What can you share with us?
Thank you very much for this question. As I already mentioned, tourism is one of the most dynamic sector, economic development sector, and that's why tourism for Moldova, and especially the wine tourism that is the driver of our tourism development, together with gastronomy and rural experience, are one of the elements that we would like to support, and we support during the last years through different projects. But it's our somehow possibility to promote community development, to promote our culture, to promote our traditions, and it's like a bridge that we, yes, together investing in tourism, investing in the development of our communities, we can build a bridge to a peace and to sustainable development. And yes, because Moldova it's near to the country where we have a war. We have war in Ukraine, and for sure, from the point of view of investment, it's a big challenge for us and for Ukraine as well. That's why more investment in the private sector, more investment in destinations management organization. This is crucial for our communities to build, to trust in our capacity, and for sure, wine tourism, adventure tourism, medical tourism can be like models for tourist development and promoting our country abroad.
You make a very interesting point, sir, because it's not just promoting tourism, it's wine, it's gastronomy, it's adventure, it's wellness, because those trigger off then growth in agriculture, in enology, in all of those other supporting sectors that work directly with the tourism industry. So if we go from Moldova to Istanbul, and we talk about how the MICE category has been such a critical part, the way in which you've used meetings, events, conventions to actually re-stimulate the economy in Turkey. What can you share with us from that perspective?
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, Istanbul Congress and Visitors Bureau, one of the largest bureau, first place in Turkey, and now we are keeping 16th place in the world. And in 2025, we're going to have 14 big, large conference. And when we talk about the conferences, it's not itself like we sit and meeting and having talk and then leave each other. It's a culture, it's the historical, it's a shopping, it's, enjoying the time at the same time. And as in Istanbul, we cover more than 60% GDPs of the Turkey, and tourism, it's dynamic sectors. As a conference and meeting groups, it's the most efficient incomes for the country. That's why it's so important for us. Thank you very much.
And equally, you raise a really interesting point, and it's making me think of my dear friend Emily from Accenture. With business travel now, people are comfortable staying on and doing a little bit of play on the side. They don't want to just be in Berlin at ITV. They want to discover a city they haven't been to before. And that's where your category is very important. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hand it back to Mariana.
Much, Anita. The minister from Portugal and Montenegro are not with us this afternoon, so we're just going to move on to Montenegro. Are you here? Oh, there you are. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I was looking all around for you. I didn't see your flag. So then the same question for you, Madame. How does tourism contribute to economic recovery and sustainable development if you're looking at an economy that's large and or diverse?
Well, I can really not talk about large economies because ours is fairly small. But nevertheless, often challenges are similar. Tourism is one of the, I would say, most democratic industries. The threshold to enter the industry is not particularly high, not necessarily particularly high, which basically means that all people from all walks of life, if they wish, can actually participate. That actually empowers people, and especially empowers those groups that are vulnerable and are not typically entrepreneurial. That actually builds up the unity. Because when you participate in the industry, when you produce goods, when you produce your commitment to the country, you actually belong to the overall efforts to grow, and you are a part of the general growth. And tourism is actually a great industry to grow with.
Thank you very much indeed. Montenegro, of course, is not a large economy, but as we all know, good things come in small packages. So in German, they say klein, aber fein. And Anita, I will hand over to you once again. We're going to keep everybody on their feet, or at least the two of us. And we'll move on to our next question for the round.
Brilliant. And our next question is, how can tourism investments drive both economic growth and social inclusion? Because what we do know is that tourism is not just about the visitor, it's about the visited. And this is exactly as you were saying, Madam from Montenegro, it's making sure that the promise we make in investing in tourism, it touches the lives of people beyond tourism. And as Julia always says, again, it's all those jobs, it's the multiplier effect. So if we look at South Africa, which has reinvented itself, transformed through tourism in so many ways. Madam, can you share with us how the investment into tourism in South Africa has always kept the local communities as the heartbeat of making sure that investment gets an ROI? Please.
Thank you. And it is exactly because we must answer the question of peace and social cohesion in the world that we must invest in tourism. And therefore, as South Africa, we want to share the benefits of tourism with all our communities across the country, especially the most vulnerable women and children. And therefore, we are seeking for partners and for collaboration. And I will be hosting a tourism investment summit before the G20 ministerial meeting, because at all times we can produce investment products that can bring about not only job creation, but it can also help us to train and upskill. And you talked about technology earlier on. And we need to begin to get ready, like Julia said, we need to get ready for that technological boom in the sector. So from South Africa's side, we will be preparing an investment book with bankable projects that by the end of May, and we're going to work with WTTC and other organizations to say to the world that as South Africa, we're open for investment and for business. So tourism, especially infrastructure investment, because if you want a tourist to have a seamless experience, you need to make sure they've got proper roads, proper airports, and proper skyways, and the air connectivity is so important. So we focus now not only for the G20, but investment is high on the agenda. But I'm looking for partners, and I'm looking for countries that want to collaborate with us and invest in South Africa.
And you make an interesting point, because in the future of tourism, technology is part of the DNA. It's a part of the language we speak. And it's as the Secretary General said at the beginning of his address, if Julia wasn't in the room, we don't have the ability to make the business happen. So that connection is fundamentally important. Because when it comes to local inclusion, a little secret many might not know, the concept of homestays now is very familiar to us all. It's a critical part of the tourism industry. But it started in Malaysia, I believe, sir. That was really the starting point. So when you look at how tourism investments drive both economic growth and social inclusion, what can Malaysia share with us from that perspective?
Thank you. Malaysia, as I mentioned earlier, we must be very important. We make sure stability and peace. Because tourism, we can bring a lot of industry to assist the people on the ground, to boost out the economy, let's say for transport, food industry, hotelier, and so many others. Because tourism is much faster to boost the economy, not like other investment. It will take time, and all these other necessity need to be done. That's why, just like I mentioned, the homestay, a lot of people come by families, they stay in the hotel, maybe too costly. That's why we in Malaysia promote very aggressively on homestay, let the family can enjoy in Malaysia. At the same time, we tourism also in Malaysia, we promote the harmony and unity. The most important, let other countries to come to understand our Malaysia culture, how we promote all this together. Thank you.
It's lovely because it's exactly right. It's that spectrum. Through awareness comes understanding. Through understanding comes respect. Through respect comes peace. And it's that doorway of opening it up. Because if we look at the Maldives, for instance, sir, in terms of how the Maldives is developed, you have a spectacular destination like every other destination, but your island destination relies on its people. It relies on social inclusion to make sure that the Malaysian promise can be delivered when people come and travel to your country. What can you share with us, sir, in terms of how investments have been utilized to not only drive economic growth, but to foster social inclusion of the local communities in Malaysia?
Maldives. Thank you. As you know, half a century ago, in 1972, Maldives opened its door for the tourism. And at that time, Maldives is a country with least developed country status. So now it's 50 years onwards, we are at the middle income country, where we have the healthcare facilities has grown, the education, we have 100% literacy rate, healthcare facilities, and then the social inclusion is quite high on all the, and then the literacy rate is 100%. So we, through tourism, we have been able to harness the public involvement on, and also improve the livelihoods of the people. Our GDP now is 25% of our GDP contributes by the tourism industry, and almost everybody in the Maldives, especially the youth, are engaged in the tourism sector, either by the guest house businesses or with the tourism in guest tourism. One island, one resort is our key concept, where all our people have been working in this industry. So I think basically, and overall, our lives have been improved through the tourism industry throughout this 50 years. Thank you.
It's lovely that it's the blanket quality of life that comes through. Now, Raphael, I want to bring it to you, because if we look at the way in which destinations are needing to invest to drive that economic growth, to bring in inclusion, we need to bring aviation into the conversation, especially if you look at a destination like the Maldives being an island destination. What can you share with us from IATA's perspective about the need to keep an eye on making sure that there's investment in connectivity, not only what happens in the destination? Please.
Yeah, I think it's, as I was listening and reflecting, first of all, obviously, about 60% of people or tourists travel by air, right? So meaning we are completely interdependent here, right? If we are going to continue to have a healthy and sustainable growth. So that means that governments need to focus on initially in policies, right, that will take into consideration, right, the interdependency. That means obviously being able to, put policies in place that incentivize actually that connectivity, and that means the right infrastructure. That means something I think a few already hinted by what Julia already said. There is a lot of data there that can be used to improve the way we handle the customer, to improve the way the experience of the passenger all through is done. And that is very important. Also looking at policies, when I mention policies also, it's important to look at the travel restrictions. We're in a globalized world. There is a big difference when you open a market. Some already here express their growth, Albania as an example, right? When you have a completely, you open up environment, you see the potential there, and therefore you have to put the policies in place to bring the right infrastructure to be able to have the connectivity that we're expecting, right?
And you used a very important word right up front when you talked about interdependence. And that's what Mother Nature taught us. We always said we are an integrated industry, we're interconnected. No, we are interdependent. Because if we don't have the airlines, if we don't have the airports, if we don't have the hotels, we don't have the cruise ships, we don't have an industry, which is so fundamentally important. So with that, at the end of our second question, I hand it now back to Mariana, please.
Thank you so much, Anita. And of course, aviation plays a huge role, and there's many destinations that one can really only reach by plane. But increasingly, especially with sustainability becoming more and more important, we're seeing a real rise in the amount of rail travel that we're seeing around the world. Many people are choosing to visit destinations that they can travel to with trains. And then also we're seeing more and more, especially if people are coming from far away, the desire to visit perhaps more than one country. So my next question is about investments in cross-border tourism initiatives, because they're not only something that's appealing to many travelers. So let's say somebody from my native country, from the United States, decides to fly somewhere to Europe. Someone like that says, you know, I've got 5 days, I want to visit five countries. These types of cross-border tourism initiatives become more and more important. And my question then is, what kind of an impact could it have? And in particular, how could these types of investments foster cooperation and mutual understanding between the neighboring nations? Maybe we can hear from Armenia.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to mention, like my friend from Moldova, tourism can maintain the peace. Armenia is in very sensitive area, very sensitive region. We think that tourism can bring peace to our area. After that will coming investors and etc. Tourism will bring peace to area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to also pose the same question to the minister from Angola.
Okay, thank you. I was waiting for my time. It's very important that the neighbor countries that share like the same landscape, the same wildlife, and the same nature put to the market a product where the visitors, where the tourists go and take contact with this landscape at the same time. We have an initiative in our region, the Casa region. Casa region is the space that belongs simultaneously to Angola, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe. And so we create one unique logo for branding the area. So as well as the elephants doesn't have passports, they just travel around all the 5 countries. We also create this special brand for the visitors. If they come to Zambia, they go at the same time and have the facilities to go there. We create also the Casa Visa. So if you have a visa for Angola, you can travel for all these countries. So this facility on the borders can enhance the tourists going around. And we have very good neighbors, and we also have Namibia on the south. So we share one of the oldest deserts in the world. So we are trying to create facilities on the border. And just a small vision to finance is more about investment, and it's challenging for countries like Angola. We are giving the very first steps in tourism development to attract investors. Because if one investor decides to make a new investment, they look for the safe and consolidated countries. So countries like mine that are giving the very first steps, it's challenging. That's why we are partnered with the UN Tourism, creating a doing business index, so everybody can see what the opportunities are. Yeah, thank you.
I think it's fascinating to really remember that borders were created at some point, but the people and the animals, like you said, the elephants, they don't need passports, but also there's so many blended cultures, there's so many connections between different nations. Perhaps the borders are there, but the region is one and the same. And I think when we shift our focus to that and to think about how can neighboring countries maximize the offerings and even brand themselves in their own way. The borderland, it creates enormous potential to appeal to tourists. Anita, we do want to also turn our attention to Europe, so I will hand over to you for our next line of questioning.
Thank you very much. And I think what's really important about this, we've been talking about tourism growth. Tourism growth, tourism growth. We all want tourism growth. But there are some places in the world that are saying, no, stop. There's too much. And the language that we hoped and prayed would not be a part of the world post-pandemic is now back in our vernacular. We're talking about over-tourism. We're talking about issues of resource management. So we want to spend a little bit of time talking about, as we look to investment, as we look to growth, how do we make sure that it's smart growth, it's sensitive growth, and it's growth that has the local communities feeling you're taking care of me in my home rather than you're taking my home away. So I want to start with the Honourable Minister of Tourism of Croatia. You were talking yesterday about a study that is undergoing at the moment. You're going to get the results next year, I believe. But it's fundamentally important when we look at tourism in making sure that it really is a force for good for all, even the non-traveling. Please, can you share a little bit about your carrying capacity study?
Sure. Thank you very much for the question. Well, you know, with this question and with all the questions really here today, okay, we're good? Sorry. You know, depending on how big part of tourism is part of the economy, all of us can have here totally different answers, and all of us could be exactly right. So it's really hard to generalize. But the one thing that I think majority all of us agree that the future of tourism is sustainability, not in that just general sense, but what it actually means. Because even if you ask people in the industry of tourism what that is, they will give you big, long definitions, explanations, especially if you ask just general population, you know what that is. So you have to make it simple. And what we have decided to do as we have a different stage of development of different regions or different destinations in Croatia. We have the ones that are close to their capacity, carrying capacity, and then we have the ones that we want to develop. So first we developed the like scientific way of measuring tourism development of each individual destinations, and then we proclaimed like the 110 of them to be most developed, and those 110 are required now to complete carrying capacity studies, which will actually, based on the methodology that we created, that indicators of sustainability that are legal requirement for them now. They have to measure everything that comes down to hosting a guest, and basically through that process, through the exercise, decide what the actual carrying capacity is. What is their availability of energy, of water, of electricity, of sun, of infrastructure, parking, infrastructure in general, things like that. And then they have to, based on that knowledge, they have to actually make decisions that, amongst other things, mean limitation. Meaning saying, it's enough. We have enough hotels, we have enough short-term rentals, we have enough camping, we have enough of whatever. That's a very, very first important, strong step in everybody in a destination realizing it. Now we're in the age of management. We're not in the age of growth, because growth itself is not necessarily a good thing if it's unmanageable, because you said it earlier, it's about the visited, basically quality of life. I think the future, we think the future of tourism, future of destinations, is going to be measured solely about how well do you have that balance between quality of life and number of tourists.
And I love that. The reason why I wanted to focus on that is that when you raised it yesterday, I thought that's really interesting, because smart investment is not only the investment itself, it's investing in the intelligence up front to identify, should we be investing in this? How do we do that the right way? And how do we make sure that what we're investing in is maintaining and elevating quality of life for the visited, as well as the experience for the visitor. So if we look at Andorra, for instance, which is a little jewel box of a destination, similarly, you want people to visit, but you don't want to lose the sparkle on the jewel. What have you found that you can share with us, please?
Thank you for the question. I think it's very important for our country. Andorra, as I don't know if people know, but it's a very small country. We are only 80,000 people living there, and we receive more than 9.7 million tourists a year. So we have many years during the year, January, February, and March, and August also, that our capacity is nearly full. Like the Ministry of Croatia says, we have made studies of capacity charge of our sector, but we believe that tourism is also very, very important. We are an independent country for a long year, but the tourism represents more than 40% of our GDP. So we have to analyze and to make, a balance who can manage all these kind of things. For us, it's very important to have the people who comes and the research who comes from tourism go to the local communities also. We believe in peace. We believe we are also ranked one of the safest country in the world, and we are so proud about that. And as I come in these kind of events since many years now, I see that with all the ministers of tourism and ONU Tourism and WTTC, we believe that Ministry of Tourism we are all agree that the peace is the most important thing, and I think we show to the world that ministers of tourism are always together for the peace, and I think this is a very important message for the rest of parliaments or political people. So I hope the peace will go on in these moments so difficult globally. We know there's many tensions, but we have to work very, very hard, sharing cultures between people, and know that when we travel, we'll open our minds and we can understand other people and other cultures. So thank you so much.
But I think you raise an important point there, because to me, it's always about, just because we have a passport, an airline ticket, a mobile phone, and potentially a visa, it does not mean I can walk into your home without knocking on the door, because it's not about entitlement. And thankfully, again, Mother Nature taught us about that. And as we travel in the world, we want to visit, but not feel guilty for going into someone else's home unwanted. And that's where I want to turn to Julia from a WTTC perspective, because you spent a lot of time on understanding the issues and it's too easy to say something is it's over tourism. You've understood the anatomy behind it. And with so much focus of WTTC on smart, healthy investment, you have an understanding of making sure that the investment is doing good and it's not perpetuating a challenge. What can you share with us, please?
Yes, I think it's a brilliant question, because, when this whole issue of over-tourism, as they call it, came up, at first I was a bit stunned, because it was in places like Spain where, 14% of the economy comes from travel and tourism. It creates record jobs, it creates wealth. If you look at the tax take of globally, there's $3 trillion that go to governments' exchequers off the back of basic taxation that we pay. So I was a bit, for example, Palma de Mallorca, I've been going there for 40 years. The old town used to be completely decrepit, full of drug dealers and smelly. And, I worked in the middle of it. I was a journalist. I had to, step over the bodies in the morning. It was absolutely ghastly. It's been tourism money. You go there now, and that Casco Antiguo is a jewel. It's absolutely fantastic. But I had to recognise that lots of local people don't like feeling like an extra in their own film. I had to recognise that sometimes tourists come without knocking politely on the door, without being respectful, and that those people were not feeling it. So all my numbers, all my data, all my history didn't matter. They were not feeling it. So we have to respect our local communities, and those communities have to feel that they are genuinely benefiting from tourism. And where there are what I call pinch points, everybody wants to go to Venice or everyone wants to go to the Tour Eiffel, we need to manage it. It's, in fact, if I may say, and I'm not saying this for residents that have felt overwhelmed, but it's a good problem to have. That's what the Minister of Spain always says. It's a good problem to have because people want to come. It's how we manage them. And I do think with technology, Singapore has a whole digital twin where they actually see where Singapore, one of the most densely populated places in the world, a number of visitors, and you walk around Singapore and you don't feel crushed because they have a digital twin. They are looking and managing people. They're doing that thing. If they're seeing everybody in Spain is going to Sagrada Familia, you can see it happening, and you can start saying, do they want to go to other Gaudi places? Can we offer them price incentives so that they go somewhere else? So it is manageable, but I am very respectful that local communities must feel more important than the visitors, because it is their home.
Yeah. And it's interesting as well, because it's not only the overcrowding that damages it for the local communities, the visitor experience is dreadful. So it goes on both sides. And I love that principle that the litmus test when it comes to tourism development and local communities, do they want us back? Because if the answer
Croatia's
is no,
done this very well. Croatia's done, Dubrovnik. Everyone wants to go to Dubrovnik, and it's a teeny tiny place. And actually, you've managed it. I'm not saying every day it's going to be perfect for you, I'm sure, but you really have, managed it very well. And I'm sure there are other examples in the room as well.
Okay. And that's why I think it's a twist that I didn't anticipate in this session, but part of the investment is in intelligence to make sure that we are creating a peaceful sector, not only creating peace through that. With your blessing, Mariana, I'm going to ask the question a little bit further, because Montenegro, equally a destination, very much through the film industry especially, became a place where people were scrambling for the perfect photograph in that perfect spot. And you had that blessing and curse of too many people. What can you share with us about what you've learned to be able to make sure that as growth is happening, it's doing it in a way that works for the people of Montenegro, not only the visitors?
Yes, absolutely. If it doesn't work for both sides, then you do not have a good experience. And the idea is not to ruin what we are selling. You see, so if we are selling an authentic and pleasant experience, then it makes no sense to ruin it with overcrowding or whatever else, destroying the nature's capabilities and what else. So we are absolutely, like most other Mediterranean nations, noticing a influx of tourists in the summer months, June and July, which really makes it uncomfortable to be there. And one of the things that is doable is to try to stimulate through pricing policies or otherwise the extension of the season outside of these critical months. That's number one. And number two, for Montenegro specifically, which may or may not be shared by other countries, is the fact that we have immense tourist potentials inland. And that's a space far larger than the actual coastal region. So we are now developing strategies and policies to stimulate growth of tourism, especially active tourism, and tourism which enjoys nature rather than destroys it, in the northern part of the country. That goes hand in hand with extending the season and basically packaging the whole country, which is minute, in a one tourist package. It actually takes up to 2 hours to drive from one end of the country to the other. And literally, we just took a picture 2 weeks ago in two different places. One is at the coast and the other one up in the mountains, where people are skiing and on the coastline sunbathing in the same day. And these two spots are an hour and a half away, one from the other. So that's a blessing.
And which is lovely, because you're, with that dispersion into the non-coastal areas, you get the extended length of stay, you get the increased spend, you're able to work through the seasons as well. So it's a win-win for, again, the destination and the people itself. And this to me is a fascinating part of investment, because it cannot be investment for investment's sake. It cannot be tourism for tourism's sake. And with that, I hand it back to Mariana.
Thank you so much, Anita. It is definitely a problem in particularly European capitals or a small country like Montenegro with overcrowding, and yet there are still other tourist regions that are up and coming, that are maybe still undiscovered. So if I may turn to the Minister of Sierra Leone, your nation is up and coming in the tourism sector. You have incredible natural landscapes, natural beauty. So maybe you can share with us your perspective. It's not a question of overcrowding yet. How are you using the natural beauty of your country to attract investment, but in a way that's good for your country, good for the people in it, and that also supports regional stability?
Thank you very much. First of all, Sierra Leone has declared the year of 2025 this year as the year of ecotourism. And what we're doing is connecting our culture, connecting conservation and community. You know, we have this approach of having a private sector-led industry, ensuring that the people are at the center. Because again, you know, most times you reference Sierra Leone, you think about, you know, an old war that happened a long time ago. But the positive side of that is that now we have a young population brimming with a lot of creativity, a lot of talent. And that is what we're seeking to harness. So what we're doing right now with the investments that we've had from like the World Bank and UNDP is, you know, putting forward a model, a public-private community partnership model where the community drives, the community manages, and there's a community development fund that is used to expand or even enhance these investments. So we believe that every person has a productive space in our tourism industry, and we're working towards enhancing that sustainability at the community level. So you'd see most of what we're doing, especially with the mass tourism. We do understand, you know, learning from other countries that it is basically some sort of resentment or some sort of detachment, you know, from, you know, the locals as well as the tourists. But we're building that capacity at the community level. And we're also learning from the AI tools that we have. How could you divert? You know, how could you drive traffic into underserved areas? So these are some of the tools that we're exploring, you know, in Sierra Leone, and we're utilizing it to really develop our tourism products. Last year we had the Tourism for All campaign, and essentially we reached about 4 million people out of the 8 million, you know, in country. And this year our focus is really on ecotourism, keeping the community at the center. So things like managing our coastal areas, because Sierra Leone has a massive coastal line. And you may know that we have lovely beaches and beautiful landscape. But again, you know, tourism had only been brought to the fore of our national development plan a couple of years ago, and getting people into the habit and engaging them on that level to understand that preservation and conservation is critical to developing the tourism sector is important. What we've been doing in addition to that is ensuring that all of our investments in the tourism sector at this point in time take into consideration the environmental degradation and preserving what we have been endowed with as our natural landscape. So the members in the diaspora are coming in to invest in ecologies, and from that point, having the community understand as well the importance of preserving our natural environment is critical, and we're getting them at the center. So we have the Takugama sanctuary, which sits on 6,000 hectares within our tourism development area. We had some issues, and government has come in actively, you know, to preserve and reforest that area. So the community is at the heart of it, ensuring that they understand the value of tourism, and they also put in effort to deal with some of the environmental challenges and climate change issues that we're being challenged with now. Thank you very much.
Thank you also. Indeed, I mean, perhaps being later in the game, so to speak, gives you some advantages that you're not only benefiting from lessons learned from other countries in the past, but you're also able to access the kind of technological tools, AI you mentioned, that people didn't have just 10 years ago, and you can use them now. So very exciting time for Sierra Leone. I think that's going to go on my list as well of places that I need to visit. Perhaps we can hear also from Tanzania. You also have a country with beautiful natural landscapes, also cultural heritage. How are you leveraging these things to attract more investment that is benefiting business, but also promoting regional stability and benefiting the local communities?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I said earlier, tourism is very important to us, and it contributes about 25% of foreign earning also contribute about 17% of our GDP. Tanzania is home to 22 national parks, but it's also home to 38 game reserves. We have beautiful beaches, island of Zanzibar, from the northern east part of Tanga, bordering to Mombasa, stretching all the way to Mozambique. So we have a vast area and a lot of attractions scattered around the country. What we're doing now, we are strategically investing on infrastructure to open up the whole country so that we congest the northern circuit, which is used to be the key area for tourism. Now we are opening up the southern part. We have had a huge investment in infrastructure such as roads, networks, railway networks, airports, and all these are structured in the way that the communities surrounding those areas are involved in taking part in the employment creation and this and that. So, in a nutshell, we are opening up the country, the entire country, and we invite the investors from outside the country and within the country to come and invest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds like another country I have to put on my list. I think by the end of this session, I'll have so many countries that I need to visit. From the African continent, I would like to fly over now to Asia and maybe ask the Minister of Cambodia if you can also share with us how your country has been leveraging its incredible cultural heritage and also the natural beauty of your country and how that helps to attract investment that's good for the people in the region.
Thank you for the question. You know, I'm strongly agree with the idea that peace and political stability plays the most important role for increasing the tourism industry. You know, and also I would like to stretch out about one slogan: tourism for all for tourism. You know, in Cambodia, we have a lot of potential, tourist potential. It's kind of natural tourism, cultural and heritage tourism, in agro-tourism, and also business or religion tourism, etc., etc. So, as I mentioned earlier, tourism industry is considered as a green goal of the country. And also, tourism industry is considered as the prioritized sector and economic backbone. Okay. One time, tourism industry was developed. I mean, everyone could benefit from that. So, everyone around the world could know Cambodia through Angkor Wat Temple. Cambodia is one of the countries that have more than 1,000 temples in the whole country. So, Cambodian royal government of Cambodia try to balance between development and conservation. So, talking about Khmer culture, in Southeast Asia. We are the oldest country around the world. So we need to profit our tradition and culture for promoting tourism industry from around the world. So our main idea is how to bring Cambodia to the world, and vice versa, how to bring the world to Cambodia. Thank you.
Many thanks indeed, Minister, for your intervention. Anita, I fear we're running out of time. So do I have time to ask one more minister for an intervention?
Absolutely, and we have 6 minutes left, and there are a couple of ministers I still need to hear the voices of.
Yes.
But if you want to dive in, please do.
I believe the minister I had on my list was Ghana. If I may ask you also the same question. Another beautiful country with natural landscapes and cultural heritage. How do you make those things work for your country to attract investment, but that benefits the people of your nation?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute. So we have culture and heritage as our strongest products to sell. And thankfully, UNESCO has listed some of our sites. The monuments that we have that attract especially people who are interested in Pan-Africanism and cultural heritage visit our country. The good thing about what we do is the fact that all the 16 regions in the country have unique festivals that bring people to us. And the abundance of sunshine is an additional plus. And I saw the excitement in the room when sunshine was mentioned, and I thought, you all should be coming to Ghana because I have it in abundance. But yes, our cultural experiences and cultural festivals are what attracts the community in the world over to our country. The good part, and the favorite part for me, is the fact that it involves everybody in the community. We are celebrating our festivals, and we're happy to have people just wanting to come and experience it with us. It's in our dance, it's in our food, it's in our fashion, it's in all the things that we have. And I'm happy that the government now is ready to invest even more in the festivals, in what we call the Black Star Experience, which is what our flagship program is for this season. It's an opportunity also to pass on the heritage and ensure that it is sustainable, because it involves children, the youth, our women, and of course everyone else who comes to see that. What the challenge has been is how to market that on the global stage, and it is the reason why I'm excited to be here, to hear all of you speak, and for you to hear what I have and promote that amongst you, and invite you all to visit Ghana and enjoy the sunshine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next country that's on my list, Anita, so many countries, so little time. I hand over to you for a final round of questions.
Brilliant.
Before we wrap up.
Excellent. Thank you very much, because we are very sensitive to the fact that ITB and these trade fairs, you all have an enormous number of meetings, and we have aviation in the room. And regardless of who we are, a president and CEO, secretary general, or minister, if the flight's going to leave, the flight's going to leave regardless. So, very quick one. I'm going to ask the Honorable Minister of Tourism of the Czech Republic. I'm very curious to know, sir, because policies are vital ways of protecting the rate at which we grow, the speed we grow. Can you share with us something very quickly? I'm going to give you 90 seconds on how you put in place policies to ensure that growth is healthy for the visitors and the visited. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much, finally. Yes, the topic of security and safety of destinations is very important for us, and I'm glad we are already working with our colleagues in UN Tourism on something which we called crisis management in tourism or something like that, because we really think, and I completely agree with what was mentioned by our colleagues from Armenia and Cambodia, that peace is the real basic condition for everything. And when I saw the title of our Ministers' Summit, and I was thinking about it, enhancing investment, ensuring peace, I would probably reverse this. Ensuring peace and then investments, because with peace we can have investments, we have more tourism, which should and will sustain the peace, and it doesn't work in the opposite way. So we have, of course, military aggressions, we have wars, but we have also natural disasters, pandemics, and really we are really glad that we have the opportunity to cooperate with UN Tourism on this. And I really would like to invite anybody who is interested in this to share and willing to share with us his or her experiences, ideas. So we are very welcomed, and we are ready to deal with it all together.
Brilliant. And as much as you were the last person to speak, it was absolutely worth the wait, because you provided the summary. We can't have tourism without peace. We can't have peace without tourism, and we need to invest in both, because it is absolutely very symbiotic. We've talked about an enormous amount today, and we've gotten very practical, which is great, about what is the intelligence we need to invest in? What is the partnership relationship we need to invest in? What do we need to do to ensure that we are absolutely growing tourism the right way, for the right reasons, for the right people, the visitors and the visited? We didn't even get a chance to talk about domestic tourism as the real insurance policy inside a destination, but we will hopefully save that for next year. But as we count down now to literally the final 60 seconds of this inaugural ITB ministerial dialogue, I hand it to Secretary General for your closing word of thanks and safe travels. Please.
Wish you safe trips, all of you, after these hard working days. I recommend to stay 2 more days in Berlin, weather is nice and it's really great city. Because all times we are coming here, we are only in this Messe place, or we don't have a chance to see Germany. Our weather is always frozen. And thank you for your participation again. All your ideas are recorded. We will take in consideration. All comments will be done here today, and let's continue. Let's be united. Let's do more things, more projects. Well, as I mentioned, tourism doesn't have limits. Just talking about in each country, investments are needed. Always when I'm meeting with the ministers or heads of states or representatives, they're asking 2 things, I always say. One is always money, because they think that we are a UN organization and we will fund. The second is education. These are 2 main things always at the meetings. So how we started to help countries and destinations, or concrete new destinations, to attract money, we started to issue the investment guidelines. What is investment guidelines? I see many new ministers today, and I want just to briefly explain that we are supporting countries and member states to create guidelines why certain company or bank or any other investor, he or she has to invest in the country. And I really recommend, we did already 28 editions, which is not easy in 1.5 year, 28 books, which in different regions. By the way, Tanzania is one of the first in African country where we recommended investor to invest. And we are on that track. Again, another successful meeting. I'm very thankful to all ministers. I know that many of you have flights, and see you very soon, and wish you all the best. To all countries, success, peace, as my dear minister from Czechia mentioned. Peace is tourism. It was your quote, by the way, Anita, when you wrote my speech. And tourism is peace. So, and today we never talk about peace 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Never was peace mentioned in any our conferences or meetings. But today, unfortunately, we are where we are. I wish peace all the world, first of all, Ukraine, Gaza, and thank you, and thank you.
Brilliant. Excellent. So on behalf of UN Tourism, ITB, the beautiful host country of Albania, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Mariana. Thank you to everyone for sticking with us. Safe travels, and we'll see you next year.